You now have a thoughtful classroom online suite. And so a pretty obvious question follows. How do we use it to enhance or to power up professional learning? The goal of this introduction is to answer four guiding questions. First, what do we have? How do we take stock of the resources we have available through our suite? How do successful schools use suites effectively? What are some best bet practices for helping teachers get better, improve their practice? And if we need additional support, what does that look like? So let's look at our first question. What do we have? All of the suites include common resources that guide the learning process, starting with expert-led tutorials. We call them Tools in 12 and Strategies in 16, which means in about 15 minutes, teachers learn how to use each tool in their classrooms. Resources are built in for planning, reflection, and collaboration. And when it comes time to bring the tool to the classroom, the suites provide the resources, classroom posters, handouts, fillable student organizers to make the tool work in the classroom. You'll also find additional resources, classroom video, planning and print resources designed to help teachers go deeper with particular tools and strategies, and a map that makes it easy to customize PD for your team by helping you think through where you are, where you want to go, and how you'll get there. So let's look at our second question. How do successful schools use the suites effectively? There are many ways to use the suites effectively, but let us highlight three of the most common approaches. So one approach is a professional learning community, or sometimes we call them learning clubs, teams of teachers who come together, often at grade level or content area, to identify common gaps in student learning and then select tools from the suite to address those gaps. Other schools use the suites to build full year or even multi-year school improvement plans so that the entire staff has a common language, a common bank of tools and strategies tied directly to the school and district goals. And you can also use the suites to empower individual teachers to develop their own professional growth plans. But here's the thing. No matter which approach or combination of approaches you've selected and are using in your school, all of them are best designed around what we call a learning cycle, a universal way to think through how to make incremental and powerful improvement. And it starts with looking at the data. What does student data tell us? What's a need or goal that we have based on the data? Selecting the right tools, which tool will best help us, or tools will best help us address our goals. This is critically important. You have to commit time to the professional learning. Teachers need time to learn how to use these tools. And then, of course, there's an expectation. We're expecting teachers, we're encouraging, we're insisting that teachers use the tools in the classroom. We have a way to monitor progress, and we've built in the most important thing that teachers need to grow, time to reflect and work together to refine their practice. That's a learning cycle. It works at the individual level, it works at the team level, it works at the school level. And to help with this, we've provided in this section a resource called Planning a Learning Cycle that will really help you think through this process and build a learning cycle tied to needs and goals. We've also provided you with a sample of a completed learning cycle form so you can see how another school has used this process as an example. And you'll find both of these forms in this section, How to Power Up Professional Learning. So let's look at our third question. What are some best bet practices for helping teachers improve? And in this section, we're going to show you what some of the most successful schools are doing, the moves, the practices they're using to truly power up professional learning using the suites. Our first tip takes into account the wisdom of two of today's top thought leaders in education. Harvey Silver, the founder of the Thoughtful Classroom of this organization, spent many years as a college football coach, and he talks about the power of a rallying cry to bring a team together, a simple statement that we all agree on and we all strive for. And the reason a rallying cry is important is because it creates what Brian Goodwin, one of today's leading education researchers, calls hopeful urgency. And think about that. How will you create hopeful urgency for your team to get better? Deep learning is doable. More engagement means more learning. Every classroom is a learning community. What will your rallying cry be? This tip is no secret, but boy, is it important. Probably the most important. No professional learning initiative will work if teachers don't have consistent, regular, structured time to really think through and work together specifically on the most important thing, designing instruction, using new tools, building the know-how to use those tools confidently in the classroom, bringing student work back for the team to look at. What do we notice? What are the patterns? Professional learning, but most important, structured time where teachers can talk to other teachers about their craft. This tip is built on the recognition that there may be multiple initiatives operating in your school or district. The key to not getting overwhelmed is to be persistent in making connections. When your team is focused on particular tools and strategies from these suites, pay attention to the thinking that these tools develop. And what you'll see is that the thinking will align directly with the most common school initiatives: social emotional learning, portrait of a graduate, project-based learning, and so on. And if you're looking for help with this, just ask. We can map out how the tools you have support your other initiatives. Anytime you're beginning a professional development initiative, you want to make sure it's a how can we rather than a thou shalt. Bring your team together and develop your plan of action collaboratively. The next tip is about remembering the ultimate goal of building PD around a suite of tools and strategies: reflective practice. It's about encouraging teachers, supporting teachers as they try new tools, plan them through, and reflect on their impact. And to help with this, take a look at this form, which you'll find along with other planning and reflection forms in the planning and reflection resources of your suite. And keep in mind, not only is this form a great way to help individual teachers reflect, it's also a great way to develop the reflective capacity of a group of teachers, a PLC or a learning club, using the reflection after using a tool in the classroom to get that conversation going. And the last tip is all about the culture, about preparing the soil. And that means from the beginning, establishing a growth mindset, a recognition that getting better is important, but it's not always easy, that it's okay to try and not succeed the first time out. Key to a growth mindset is support, and instructional leadership is one of the best forms of support you can provide your teachers. And to help you with this, we've developed an add-on, an instructional coaching resource center that you can add to your suite. And it's specifically for your instructional leaders, for your coaches who are going to help your teachers select, learn, and use the tools from the suite in their classrooms. In it, you'll find a set of instructional coaching tools. Just as there are tools for classroom teachers, there are tools for instructional leaders that solve some of the biggest challenges associated with coaching. You'll find a feedback protocol called the 4 Ps of effective feedback: how to give concise, constructive, and actionable feedback to teachers. And you'll find additional supports for coaches, including classroom video showing some of the coaching tools and protocols in action. On to our last question. How can we get additional support? And when it comes to the question of support, you're in good hands with the Thoughtful Classroom. Dr. Harvey Silver, the founder of the Thoughtful Classroom, Not only a top thought leader in education, but someone who's been working directly with schools for over 45 years. Along with the Thoughtful Classroom team, a network of coaches and consultants who have all served as school and district leaders and who have helped hundreds of school districts build powerful professional development solutions. So whatever kind of support you're looking for, whether it's a few focused hours with your leadership team on how to use the suites strategically and well, to a long-term partnership in which we work with you to develop and execute a strategic school improvement plan for your entire district. We're here to help. So please reach out. And last, we need to say thank you. There are so many resources, so many options available to schools today. We want to thank you for focusing on what we know to be the most important variable affecting student achievement, and that is instruction. This is about helping your team get better at the most important work there is when it comes to school, and that's the instruction that's designed and delivered for the classroom.